Let's get our glass, ladies.
A celebration.
Where's my glass?
Can't even wait. Yes, we're gonna be raising our glass. We're on Facebook Live. So just want to say today is a very special day. It's our first month anniversary and we are celebrating. So I want you guys to join us and let's celebrate. It's Friday. So
Yes,
we raise
it's
the glass.
celebration
It's
time.
Friday and it's our first month anniversary and we're celebrating essential workers. How often do
Yes.
we hear about essential workers? So today is the day, ladies, uplifting and inspiring. Let's go. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Celebrate good times. Come on.
Celebration, come on. Celebration. Celebration time, come on. Great. Party going on right here.
Invitation.
That's what you. Bring your good time and your laughter too.
We gon' celebrate and party with you. Come on,
Celebration. Celebrate and have a good time. Celebration.
we gon' celebrate and have a good time.
Okay.
Time to
So
come
we can stop a
together.
little bit now.
It's up to you.
So our viewers
Put
can
your
hear us. Okay, so here we go. We're live today. So we just want to welcome you to this epic Friday show with ladies uplifting and inspiring. We're here celebrating. Isn't celebration a good thing?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it a good thing? I can't hear you guys. Come on.
Yes,
Yes,
it is a
it
good
is.
thing.
Awesome. So today, the fact that we're celebrating, we thought about our essential workers because too often we really don't hear about them, right? We really don't hear about them in the news these days. We hear about everything else every day, but not our essential workers, right?
That's right.
Okay, so we're here to highlight them today, and we just want to tell them that we are very grateful, we're thankful, we appreciate them, we love them, we know the hard work that they're doing, and we're not only talking about healthcare workers now. Okay, so who are essential workers? So we say that essential workers, according to Fortune.com, they have a list there and they're saying that healthcare workers, public safety, first responders, food and agriculture workers, energy employees, water and wastewater, transportation and logistics workers, according to Fortune.com, and communications and information technology, critical manufacturing, hazardous materials, financial services. So we're talking about our banks, credit unions, you name it, chemical workers, defense industrial base, and other community-based government operations and essential workers. Now, when I really looked at that list, I didn't hear anybody talking about the teachers. They are very important. Even in this time, they're contemplating opening up back all the schools. Some
Yes.
some states they're sending out executive orders, and I mean they're people too. Come on, they are essential. I think they're one of the most essential. Okay,
Yes, they are.
we have like the Uber, the Grub-hubs, the Lyft drivers, the
Mhm.
limousine, all those other people. Like they are a part. I would say that these people will be considered, people who work like in the hospitals, nursing homes, in food services. They are true champs in this crisis, right? They are true champs in this.
Yes, they
So
are.
we just want to highlight them. We want to celebrate them. And the fact that we're celebrating, we just make it one big celebration. It's a full house Friday. So we have a few guests with us, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. We have guests from the United States. We have guests from all the way in Jamaica, because remember, this pandemic is not only in the US, it's not only in other countries individually, epidemics, it's a pandemic. What that means, that's worldwide. So we try to involve
Global.
everybody, like. So We will start off with a very phenomenal lady who I met and I love her so much. She's indeed my son's teacher, and I will allow you, Mrs. Grimman, to take the floor and introduce yourself to the world.
Well, what a pleasure. What gorgeous ladies I'm looking at. And let me just introduce myself. I'm now a teacher with Collier Public Schools. I taught internationally for 22 years before coming back to the United States, taught everything from college down to my lowest level, which is now third grade. And I'm also a certified family counselor. And it's truly been a pleasure to be Dan's teacher. We've had some extraordinary conversations and experiences. And thank you for recognizing us as essential workers too, because as we teachers are now being asked to return to the classrooms without having really choice in the matter, yeah, we are going to be right up front there, just like any other essential workers. But let's not forget you people who are moms. You're very essential, especially if you're going to be doing the virtual learning, because you're going to have to structure and you're going to have to learn the skills that teachers have developed over the years, managing the hours, managing the moods, and addressing the academic, social, and emotional needs of your children. So I, I toast myself to all of you to being able to handle that. You're taking on a big responsibility. That's it.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Grimman, for recognizing us mothers. And I'm sure we're all mothers on here tonight in one way or another, whether we have biological children or not. And I know for sure you, Mrs. Grimman, I take you as a mom too. You know that. You know how I feel. You know, this lady, she is phenomenal, is just like an understatement. This lady, she takes her children's, the children in her class, their best interest is is in her heart. Like, she's one of those outstanding teachers where, some teachers, I'm saying, and I'm just saying it, and I'm just being clear cut. They don't care especially if you have a child who's misbehaving, they just don't care. They won't even look at it. But this teacher here, she does not leave any child behind, not one. She is not partial. I mean, oh my God, I can't even find words. We could go on and go on and go on, but we thank you also for recognizing us here, as mothers as well. That's also important. So now we will ask Miss Shelly Ann Sterling. She's from Jamaica. I'm gonna ask you if you can go on, put your video on if you don't mind, and introduce yourself, please. Shelly Ann, are you hearing me? I can see you. Can you hear us, Shelly Ann?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Okay, so we're gonna ask you to please introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are and what a little bit about you.
Okay, no problem. My name is Shelly Ann Sterling. I am a teacher by profession, but policing is my love. So I'm a police officer. I'm a corporal and I've been in the police since 1999.
Wow, that's a long time, Shelly Ann. I mean, we call her June, but man, that's a long time. Wow.
Very long time.
Wow. Wow. So, I must say, congratulations on your achievements as well. So are you saying that you are only an officer now, or you do both teaching as well?
Just an officer, no.
But no. Teaching is your passion.
It is.
There you go. See, Mrs. Grimman, you have company on here. Wow, wow. So now I will also go to another one of our special guests, who is my sister. Her name is Melissa. And I'm going to ask you if you could please unmute and introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, and just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, ladies. Good night to everyone. My name is Melissa Coward. and I'm an essential worker, and I've been working ever since the pandemic. And I feel so fortunate, and although I work less hours now, but I still feel fortunate.
Awesome, awesome. So that's going to be in further discussion as the show continues, where, you know, essential workers, I'm sure we've seen all over social media, some of them, they're very disgruntled because what they're saying is that you have people who are getting unemployment and they're at home and they don't really have to be risking their lives out there on a daily basis with what's going on. You know, as we see, it's a crisis. We don't really even know what's going on. We see how many people are dying. You know, we see the numbers going up right now. Florida, where I'm at, the numbers are going up right now. So, you know, every day it's just something new. Everything is technically unpredictable right now. So like you said, you're very grateful. So we're also grateful to have you all here, you know, taking your time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And our viewers, we just want to say we appreciate you. We love you. We've been getting the feedbacks on our page, Ladies Uplifting and Inspiring. We do appreciate you for that. And I'm sure that means that we're doing something that is great. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask Mrs. Grimman, as an essential worker, how has this pandemic affected you, or, you know, coworkers, or, you know, people who surround you in that field?
As it applies to me, I can tell you that I really suffered during the sudden virtual learning. It was a 12-hour, 7-day-a-week time factor, having to create the lessons, having to do it alone at home. And my only companion is my therapy dog. So he had to bear the brunt of a lot of my discussions and the frustrations I was feeling. And I had to be very dependent on two of my young colleagues who are tech savvy and could help me. And even then, I found that I was getting depressed and I had to analyze myself and I had to reflect and think, what am I doing? What's going on? And I realized it was more of a guilt that I was feeling, that I wasn't carrying my weight, that I was being dependent on others. So I opened up, as I would ask any client to do, reflect on it, open it up, share my feelings. And I opened myself up to my teammates, who assured me that it was their pleasure, that I had done other things and continued to do other things that would benefit the team. And they were there to do the part that they actually enjoyed. But I will tell you, it was those few first weeks were extremely difficult on the teachers, who at the drop of a hat had to create all these lessons. We were asked to contact the families directly and stay in touch, make encouraging comments. And it was very frustrating because not all moms are like the one I love so much, who would follow up and make sure that their children were doing at least some minimal work. And some gave up and some just felt, oh no, my child's doing everything. And I had to say, no, I have access to every moment they're on, and I have access to what they're doing. So from 9 to 3, it might have been virtual learning, but then the evenings were spent trying to reach out to the families. Now I had 23 students, and a lot of times parents would get on that phone, text me. I had some parents trying to reach me at midnight. And so you can understand now how the stress factor that a lot of people, from parents' viewpoint, they just thought we were sitting at home and putting on a computer and making comments. And I also had to make comments on the computer to all of those 23 children, in addition to the requests from the parents. And then sometimes I needed a few parents, and we know who they are, who helped me know, oh, something isn't working. And then I'd have to go back and the team would have to figure out what we had done wrong. And when it was all over, I'll tell you, it was a big weight off my shoulders. But I also now work with essential workers and their own difficulties, because I don't know if a lot of you realize that the increase in suicide attempts have increased by 37% with essential workers because of the PTSD and the stress. And firemen, more die from suicide than actually being in the field and as a result of their job fire accident. These are very striking. And then being home full time for some created emotional stresses with family members, that constant being together and being confined. So there were a lot of issues for my clients as to how they were going to deal with all of that. And I think people, the nurses, you nurses out there, and the people who are directly face to face, you knew every single day that you were going to be facing somebody who was possibly going to give you the corona. And then what could that possibly lead to? The unknown is the biggest issue. I feel that myself too. I'm going to go back to school now. And I don't worry so much about myself, but I worry, what if I have it and then pass it to one of my students? I find that very daunting. And so I know for the mothers out there now, a lot of phone calls are going asking, do I send my child back to school? What are the pros? What are the cons? And I think the biggest difficulty is when they announce that the kids are going to have to wear goggles. I think we could have dealt with the masks, but when they said, oh, now children are now going to have to wear wraparound goggles, that's very restrictive. And how do we get a kindergartner, first grader to do that and not want to touch and not want to run? It's going to be a very interesting experience when we do go back to school and we see who is coming and what the demands are on us as well. So it's not been easy, but I'm actually, for me, I'm very, I'm looking forward to going back to the classroom for my own personal routine. I enjoy it, but I know it's going to be a struggle. Even when I wear the mask just in the grocery store, I can't wait to take it off when I approach my car. And now I'm thinking I'm going to be wearing this from morning till late afternoon. And at what point can I take a break from it? So yeah, there's a lot going on with all of this, a lot of decisions. The unknown factor, I think, is the thing that makes it the most difficult. If we could circle a date on a calendar and know, aha, that's when it's over, we could relax, but we just don't know. And we're being bombarded by the media constantly with different opinions. So now we're left to our own. We have to make our own choices now.
And that must be hard, like you said, because you are all human beings individually, so that decisions. Because I mean, I think that here in Florida, they did send out like an executive order for all the schools supposed to be reopening back, or else no funding. So I mean, it's this is something that I don't hear anybody discussing, and that's why we thought of it, to highlight it, to let others know. I mean, you said some numbers there as it relates to essential workers, committing suicides. That's appalling. That's that's something to think about. Yeah. So now I will ask Melissa, how has COVID-19, the crisis that's going on, affected you and your family? Melissa, are you there? Okay, we're not hearing you. So I'll pass on to Shellyan. Are you there, Shellyan? Shellyan, are you there?
I wasn't hearing, but I'm hearing you now.
We can't see you. Yeah. So the question to you is, being in another country that this crisis, has affected or is affecting, how has this pandemic affected you as an essential worker and your family?
Oh, personally, I've been working since the pandemic.
We can hardly hear you.
Are you hearing me a little better?
Yes.
Any better?
Yes.
Well, personally for me, I've been at work since the pandemic broke in March non-stop. We've had to continue to work. I guess the hardest part for me was the fact that school closed and I have a 6-year-old son who was in grade 1. And coming home in the evenings, I had to put on my other hat, the teaching hat. So I had to come home now to teach the day's lesson, submit homework, and send off to his teacher for the next day. So it was a long day. But I mean, as a police officer, I have seen where my hierarchy, commission and so forth, have given police officers who have underlying issues the time to work from home. They have made provisions for them, for those who are traveling on public buses, to be transferred to stations nearer home to make it a little bit easier. So on a professional level, my whole work team they've been doing their best. They've been providing masks and sanitizers. So on a personal level, it's just tiring because I am out there and I'm scared that I'm going to take it home to my 6-year-old where I live with. So when I get home in the evening, don't touch me. I need to get to the shower. I need to change off before I can talk to you before I can pay. And it's hard because he's a little boy that very lovely. So as I come home, he wants to jump on me and give me a hug and ask how was my day. But we are coping. We sat down and we discussed it. I took him on the road. I showed him the mask for persons that wearing the mask. I got him his mask. So we go and I let him see. These are the things that you have to know in order to.
Can you put your volume up a little more? You're going in and out, so we want to hear what you're saying. It sounds interesting.
Is it better? I'm not sure what's happening with this phone now. Better?
Yes, way better.
Okay. So, so as I was saying, it's been tiring. Really, really tiring. It's a little easier now because school is really out. So I don't pressure him with a lot of schoolwork now. So he has his days free to stay home, watch TV. On Saturdays, though, I take him for a few lessons. He'll be going into grade 2. So I have the grade 2 curriculum. So I give him a little lesson for an hour on Saturday just to keep his mind active. But as I said, the biggest fear is taking it in to my home. That's it.
So psychologically, how has it affected you? And do you think he's coping? If not, like what are the coping mechanisms or strategies that you're thinking about, to kind of counter what, is psychologically affecting you both? And I mean, the fact that, did you say you take him out to play or it's just in the house? I mean, all of that confinement, I'm sure can get to you.
Oh, yes. He is bored out of his wits. Being the summer, normally he would have left for summer vacation with my friend overseas. And so he's not accustomed to being home during this long break, not doing anything, just being in the house, cooped up. I can't take him anywhere because normally we would go to the beach, somewhere and have fun. And all of that is a no-no for us right now. So I have to be using creative and innovative ways of entertaining him. And you can imagine coming home from work tired and you still have to spend 3 hours entertaining him because he's been bored all day and he wants some mommy and me time now. So it's draining on both of us. It's draining.
So do you have help when it wasn't school time? How did you manage? You had to go to work and you're thinking now you don't know who has the right, like what was in place? What did you have in place for him while you were working during the school time? Was he still in school, or I mean, how did that go? Did you hear that question, Shelly-Ann? Can you hear us, Shelly-Ann? Okay, so we'll go over to Melissa. Are you there? Can you hear us now?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, June, we couldn't hear you, so we passed.
Let me get you.
Okay, we could
Yes.
hardly hear
I
Shellyan.
heard.
So, Melissa, we're gonna
He
ask.
was exposed to the classroom platform. Are you hearing me? Are you?
Right, you're coming through not clear. So you're coming through like, like your internet. I'm not sure if the signal is not coming through clear.
Yes, a lot of echoing coming through.
Yeah. So you probably want to reposition. I'm not sure if you're hearing us. Can you hear us now?
It's her bandwidth problem.
I
That's
think
what's holding it up. So there's not much she can do with it right now.
Okay. All right. So June will pass on and then we'll go over to Melissa. Now, how has COVID, this pandemic, the crisis that's going on, affected you as an essential worker? And how are you coping, or what coping mechanisms that you had in place to deal with that as well as your family?
Okay. First and foremost, I worked right through. I didn't stop. And I'm coping quite fine so far. So the little money is still coming in to cover the bills. Yeah, which is the most important aspect of it. And as for my kids, they really do the remote learning. My older son is here, they help each other out and stuff like that. So the only fear I have at times is going to work and mixing and mingle with co-workers, not knowing who they're mixing and mingle with. So that was my only fear. But now they're doing the COVID test. We have done one 2 weeks ago. We did one on the 9th and 10th. So it's kind of, loosen the fear a little bit. But I'm coping pretty fine. Yeah, so far, so good.
So were you stressed at any point? Were you
Nope.
overthinking? No? So
Nope.
how did you do that? I mean, share with us or the others. They want to
Not
hear how
really.
you did that.
Not really, because I'm a home person from work to home. So being the stay at home order and everything, it didn't affect me no form, no way. But now my 2-year-old, he's so tired of the house now. So every time I put on my clothes, he wants to go somewhere. So I take him out to the grocery store, grocery shopping, and basically that's it.
So technically you're saying it did not affect you mentally, what's going on.
No.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, I'm wondering how many, I'm sure probably because you didn't have to be on the front line.
Because even today I met one of my she lives on the same building that I lived on. And she was saying, do you pay your rent on the first of the month? Same way. I said, yes, of course. It was like she just paid hers today. So I said, I pay my rent if it's not the first, it's the 5th. Right through the pandemic. I never pay like the 6th or the over. It's either be the 1st or the 5th, right through the pandemic. And she was like, really? You lucky? You lucky? Everybody's stressed with this pandemic. I said my bills is a priority. So if it's the last, if it's the last pay and there's nothing else, no food, I try to pay my rent.
Well, that's good. Sounds like you have everything under control. That's really, really good. I'm sure others, there may be some out there like you, while some may not be so fortunate. So the fact that you mentioned about bills, I am going to ask Mrs. Grimman, what's her thoughts? I mean, that question is going to go for all of you guests, Shelly and Melissa and Mrs. Grimman. Like the fact that some people's pay is cut. Melissa, before I go over to Mrs. Grimman, you said that your pay is cut. So how do you manage to pay the bills with a pay cut? Did you have savings put aside for emergency?
Yes, I do have. Yes, I did have savings put aside.
So you want
I still have savings put aside, which means said I don't have no money. I'm broke. So I just live hand to mouth. The bills, as Jamaicans would say, hand to mouth. As I get my pay, it just goes right out in bills. But I still have that little knot tie somewhere where I said, if my other account is empty, then I'm broke.
Okay, so you just discipline yourself to not touch that emergency fund money.
Yep,
well, that's a good
Yep, and the good thing is I'm still working some. I start work at 6 o'clock and I should leave like 2:30, but now I leave like 1:30. So I lose like an hour every day.
Right, that adds up. Well, but like I said, not because you're my sister, sounds like you have a strategy and it's working for you. So I would say stick to it. So for those our viewers who are listening who your situation is different, here you hear it from one of our guests how she is dealing with this pandemic, the crisis that's going on, and how it affects her financially, psychologically. She's saying that she has it under control. So I don't know, you probably want to reach out to her to figure out how she does it. So, Mrs. Grimman, what do you think?
Wait a minute. See, that is good, Melissa. Melissa have a strategy and a plan in place, and that is a very, very good thing because you have to have a plan and a strategy in place working in the hospital.
Yes. Yes, because the other savings, it wasn't really for the pandemic. I tell myself I have plans for it like for next year or the other year. So I tell myself I wanna have like X amount by next year. So that's why I said that I don't have no money. I don't have no money. If my other account is empty, then that's it. I gotta wait until I get paid again. I don't have no money. Honestly. That's what
Anything?
I tell myself.
Living from paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly, yes. Yes, I'm living from paycheck to paycheck right now. Honestly.
Let me just say this. I truly applaud Melissa on that. I truly applaud you, Melissa, because you just touched me real deep there with that. And I see this as a trend. A lot of people just going about their lives every day, living, should I say, carelessly? Is that the word? But yes, I'm going to use that.
Yes, very carelessly, Miss Everett, very carelessly. Because they're walking around with no mask on. Yeah, my friend here don't wear mask either, but she know who I'm talking about. But you have to protect yourself at all costs. You have to take the extra precaution, wear your mask wherever you never know who you come in contact with. Somebody right there might cough or sneeze on you. You have to protect yourself.
Yeah, and protect in every area. What I was touching on is the financial part of it, with her having things together and a plan. I know a lot of people that are making a lot of money, but this pandemic came and hit, and the very next month they couldn't pay their rents. So what she was talking about the savings. That's what I'm talking about, being prepared. And another thing she said, because remember, I'm looking at this from a housing point of view, right? Because that's what I do, right? She talks about paying her rent. I know that from the time this pandemic hit, there are some tenants who have not paid their landlord, even though they're working. And that is bad because the landlords have their bills to pay, regardless to what. So I really love how she went about it, what she said. That is the attitude that everybody should have, because she said, even if there's no money left for food, you can't live on the street, right? You need a roof over your head. So you have to secure that. And I really applaud you for that, Melissa. That is great. That is great. That is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I hope that people that are viewing, can take a page out of your book and follow this example, because I've been getting so many calls from landlords with people. One landlord called me from Florida, that he lives in Florida and I rented out his property, and he called me, he said, are city workers getting paid? I said, yeah, we're getting paid. They're getting paid. He said, the tenant called me and said, since the pandemic, he hasn't gotten paid, so he can't pay his rent. I said, that's not true. That's not true at all. So, and we all have to be prepared. I think this thing caught a lot of us because we wasn't prepared. But we have to be prepared because a lot of lives, families, communities, organizations have been hit really hard by this thing. And I just pray, that as things come back to normal, don't know when that is going to be. We don't know, right? When this normalcy is going to take place, when everything will fall. But as we get some semblance of normalcy, that we will start to think different because we don't know. So kudos to you, Melissa. Really, kudos to you. I really applaud you. I applaud you for that. Keep that. If you keep that, you see that right there? If you keep that mentality, you're going to reach far in life.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. These are the things we're here sharing with you viewers. If you're watching, uplifting, inspiring, motivating you, letting you know that when it seems impossible for you, there is a way. Somebody else did it out of nothing. This is another story, okay?
Yes.
Any other questions do you have, Angela or Miss Everett, for our guests before I turn over to asking Mrs. Grimmon a question?
No, I don't have any questions for Melissa. Melissa did awesome, and she is doing what she's supposed to do, and going to work and following the precaution that she's supposed to be taking as an essential worker and doing what she's supposed to do. Like I said, I love that she have a plan in place and she have a strategy. Regardless, even though she's living from paycheck to paycheck, her rent is paid. And that is a good mentality that she has. And I love it. I love that about her. I don't know her. I know of her vaguely. I know it's your sister, Cleo, but I know Melissa is a hard worker. And from the way she's talking, I could tell that she take her job seriously and take whatever she's doing seriously. And congratulations, Melissa. Keep on doing, keep on going and doing what you have to do. Like Miss Everett said, you're going to get far in life, okay?
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I have a question for Shelly-Ann. Shelly-Ann, as a police officer in the Caribbean, right? Did you have to make choices that broke your heart during this pandemic? Did you have to like make arrests that really broke your heart, or along that line?
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
No, actually, no. For now, I'm working out of an office that we basically deal with the police officers and whatever problem they're having. So I work from that office now. So I'm not actually on the road, as in doing that type of policing where I've come across the arrest members or any civilians, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Because I know a lot of police officers, I spoke to a few of them, and they told me that, it really broke their heart having to arrest someone that stole, that had to steal to survive, to feed their family, because they really didn't have it. They lost their jobs, things were so hard, and it broke their heart. But because it's part of their job, they had to do it. Yes, I wanted to know if you had that experience.
No, it's never an easy task, but as I said, it's our job, but sometimes that we have to make some unpopular decisions, unpopular call, what you have to do because it's your job. But I wasn't caught up in any of those situations during this pandemic, thankfully. So.
Okay, all right.
That's good, Shelly-Ann. So Shelly-Ann, I have a question for you. So like how you work in the office in Jamaica, you don't get to go out and do any patrols, like keeping people inside their homes. Like I know that they were doing the 2-week quarantine down there when someone leave from the States to go to Jamaica. They was doing a 2 weeks quarantine and going to check on the person morning, noon, and night. I know that they stopped doing that in July. So were you a part of that task force? Were you
No,
helping?
no, I was not a part of that task force. They have specialized persons
Okay.
who were trained in dealing with persons who might have come in contact with persons with COVID.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a part of that task force.
Okay, well, kudos to you, and I appreciate you as a police officer because you guys, you are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Why Angela probably asked that question is that during the crisis, we have a lot of shifts going on. Everything technically changed, changes up for most people. So they probably would draw for people who were back office to go out to the streets to help for those who were probably out because of psychological negative effects that they were facing. And then they had to, use backup, so to speak. So I'm sure that was that question was based on that notion, right, Angela?
Yes, it was.
Right.
Understand.
So, Mrs. Grimman, I have a question for you. You being a counselor other than a teacher, like for those people who were or who have to be on the front line, seeing all kinds of stuff, what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
What advice as a counselor you had to give? Did you have to deal with any of these people? If not, what advice do you have for them?
Most important thing is peer support. When they communicate together and share their own feelings, positive, negative, concerns, sharing information. And like Melissa was saying, I'm impressed by her positive attitude. She sees the cup as half full. And because of that positivity, she has a clear direction and she's planning accordingly. So as we said, she has a plan. So add the plan to a positive attitude, that equals success. It may be a struggle, but it allows her to also look outside to see what other sources are available to her if it was needed. And with that kind of attitude, she's going to also get friend support. I'm sure Melissa must have friends who are also saying, are you okay? And what can we do as friends? Do we get together at all? But I think the most important thing is peer support. And people who are essential workers, they understand each other. Even though I'm a counselor and I can listen, I'm not walking in the shoes of that nurse who has to be completely decked out to walk in to see a patient who they don't even know. And the daily fears and concerns and the heartbreaks that they deal with, I can't walk in their shoes, but I can listen and I can say things that remind them of their value and what they're doing. They're the ones communicating with family. All of a sudden, family can communicate with a loved one, but this essential worker, whether it's a nurse, a doctor, a technician, even one of the transporters, that becomes their family. And that's that person that helps them communicate with their family. And all of a sudden, this stranger now has become the most focal person in their lives. That is a lot to take on. That's a lot of responsibility. And so many of these essential workers, because with me working out of NCH, I talk to the nurses all the time. The doctors, they always have an attitude, they can handle everything. But some of the nurses, you can see the burnout. They get afraid. They have families at home and they keep waiting. When is it going to hit me? And they're dealing with their own families, but they're dealing with families that they haven't even met before and now have become that central figure in their lives, calling out of the country to communicate, out of state. This is a lot of pressure, lot of pressure. And they do it as a passion for most. Some do it because they need the job. So they're going to put themselves out there because they need to pay the rent. The landlord is out there saying, hey, I have my bills too. So for all the myriad of reasons, everybody has to do what they have to do during these times. But as I said before, the biggest problem is the unknown. If we had a date and we could circle on a calendar, we'd be fine. We could say, okay, I can do this and I can do that. But how long is this going on? And that is what's making this a very difficult process for us. We can't make decisions because of the unknown. But as long as we try to keep a positive attitude, we'll survive it. But if we start feeling sorry for ourselves and go into depression, then we have issues to deal with. And it's not just on a personal level, but for all of those who surround us.
You know, my question is, with all this pandemic going on, do you think these landlords and the landladies gonna waive all these rents? Do you think we still have to pay those rent if we don't pay?
Well, eviction is now what's happening to a lot of the clients. Evictions were held up for, I believe it was 3 months. No landlord could evict their renters, but at a certain point, that's what's happening. So then these people who couldn't pay are now facing eviction.
Right, and every state has their different laws, every state and county. So even the counties within the states have their own, because I knew like for New York, when the pandemic just started, there was someone who got a letter from their landlord saying that their rent was waived all the way until September 1st, but they got to make sure that when September 1 comes, they better have their rent going forward. So they would not charge them any back rent from March. So they were living rent-free until they're going to be living rent-free until September 1. You know, while some landlords, they will give you, they used to charge like a late fee, they would probably waive that. So every state is different. They have their own rules.
Yeah, as you said, Cleo, every state is different. Like here in New York, the mayor and the governor, you know, they were asking landlords to work with tenants, right? And that they were asking them to push back the rent for 3 months. Now, a lot of landlords, out of the kindness of their heart, did it. They did it off the bat. The landlords did it off the bat. They didn't wait on anyone telling them to do that. You know, they did it because they understood what was going on. But there was some that was still collecting the rent every first of the month they were there. But what has happened is this. In terms of eviction, the courts were closed. All the courts are closed. The courts are still closed right now. So there is no court proceedings taking place. So there is no paper to file. You can't go down to the court. But for those people who haven't paid their rent, there's gonna be repercussions.
Likewise, mortgages, right, Sister Everett?
Well, the federal government and the banking department, they ask the banks to work with landlords in that for 3 months they should not collect any mortgage payments from them. They ask them to push those 3 months to the end of the mortgage. So it's not like, okay, you're not paying February, March, April, or March, April, May, and then when June comes in, they expect you to pay June mortgage, but that 3 months, they put it to the end of the mortgage. Again, I've had conversations with landlords who said they call up their banks in order to get that in place, and the banks turn them down. Oh, we're not gonna do that. I had to tell one landlord, I said, you call back your bank and you tell them, listen, I'm gonna call the Attorney General, because if they say that, if the federal government put it out there, the banks have to abide by it. It's a pandemic. It's what's going on. This is what you can do. And regardless of how you take it, the banks are not losing any money on this. They're not losing anything. But a lot of people were turned down by their banks. But if you know your rights, you know, you can get it done.
Yes, a lot of mortgage company working with their clients to,
yes.
with their mortgage to tell them to push it back. my mortgage company did it, but I didn't do it because I'm not trying to be in that situation.
In that situation, yeah.
Yes.
But there were some people who definitely needed that. Because
Yep, exactly.
if the landlord, if a landlord, let's say like a landlord has a 4-family property, right? And you have 4 tenants in there. You need that money to pay the mortgage, to pay the water bill, to pay, to pay these bills, right?
Yeah,
So
it's true.
they need that cushion. Maybe as time go by, they might be able to pay it up before they get to the end of the mortgage. But it was put out there. They even asked landlords, because there are some landlords who have collected 2 months security from tenants.
Yes, and then I have a question from an audience, because right now the interest rates are low right now.
Some landlords have collected 2 months security from tenants, which is unlawful. It's not according to the law. So they asked the landlord, use one of that security deposit as a month payment for the client, or use a security deposit as a month payment, because some people definitely could not afford to pay their rent. Some people, until they start giving out the stimulus checks and unemployment, some people couldn't even feed their families. So how could they pay their rent? So that's why they were asking, work with them, do this. But if the landlord work with you, you're gonna have to be able to stand up, because once the courts open, they're gonna start to be filing those eviction notices. So that's something that tenants have to watch.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of essential workers right now are struggling to make ends meet and to make their mortgage payment and their rent payment, and even to buy food for their families.
Right now, let me just put this out there. Right now, the HRA buildings are closed. They were closed completely, but they have reopened to some extent, not fully, right? But if there are anyone out there who are struggling with their rent, if they can't pay their rent, they could go on HRA.com. That's the city, human resources. They could go on that website and they can apply for help. They can do that.
I have an audience. An audience said that they cannot do it in New York City. I don't know where in New York City. They can do what? Whatever you are saying.
What they can do? That's not true.
Maybe maybe somewhere else in Brooklyn. Maybe she live in Brooklyn.
No.
Or maybe it's a different part in New York.
No, where does she live?
Is that person an essential worker?
That's Donna Mae.
Oh, okay.
What she mean? What does she mean when she said they can't do it? I don't understand that one. What is she saying they can't do?
Okay, I guess Angela will just have to respond to that.
Yeah, I'll go back and check
ask her what it is she mean.
She said eviction. She said eviction, Miss Everill.
They can't do eviction?
No, that's right. They cannot do any eviction.
Like I said, they can't do it now because the courts are closed.
Exactly.
The courts are closed. There is no cases being held in court.
Okay, Donna,
people who got arrested are sitting there waiting to go before a judge to be bailed out up to now. There is no court cases because the courts are closed. People who wanted to go down and file for divorce cases, whatever, the courts were closed. Closed.
So I guess those are not essential workers.
The courts were closed. So you can't go down there to file any paperwork. But once the courts are reopened, now what is going to happen is this. The judges are going to take each case individually and they're going to assess the situation on an individual basis. Wherein if your landlord take you to court for non-payment of rent, and you're going to go before the judge and say, I couldn't pay my rent because I wasn't working, you better have that proof. You understand? You have to have that proof, because when you go, they're going to say, okay, listen, your social security number is out there. That's all they need. And if they find out that you were working and collecting a paycheck, you're going to have to pay that money. Even if they break it down for you, you're going to have to pay it. So it's not going to be a situation where you're going to get away with it altogether. Like I said, I know people who are working for the city and are telling the landlords, oh, I'm not getting paid. That's not right. That one right there is not right. If you are working and you're still collecting your paycheck, you should pay your rent.
So that means that's an essential worker who is probably still working, probably, and saying that they're not working. So that leads me to the question, Mrs. Grimman, this one is for you. And then June, because I know Jamaica, or let me start with Shelly-Ann first in Jamaica. Like, you know, in the United States, they're talking about like a hazard pay for those who are on the front line, or, you know, stimulus package for essential workers. What does Jamaica have in place for you guys?
Wow, I wish we had that. Well, if it's in the books, I haven't heard about it as yet. I haven't heard about it as yet. My section is not getting it, so I wish they would bring it on board though. Oh yeah, we're not getting March non-stop. So I think you really deserve it. So I'm waiting.
Yeah, because we're all in this together. Like I said, this is a pandemic, and that's what I can't understand from my perspective. What is good for the goose should be good for the gander. Just like how they're implementing a universal strategy across the globe, why is it the same thing where we recognize our essential workers? For example, we have our guest right here, Shelly, and she's a cop. Regardless whether she's on the front line or not, she still has to turn up for work. And who knows, any day they might take you up and say you got to go out on the street. You never know. So what are the things that are in place? Like, you know, what is our country, Jamaica, doing for essential workers? Like, you know, this is the question we're asking out here. So, Mr. Prime Minister, if you get a hold of this here or on YouTube from Ladies Uplifting and Inspiring, we're asking you, what is it you're putting in place for our essential workers in Jamaica? Okay. So
I was talking to someone in St. Vincent today, and they told me that they're doing it in St. Vincent. It's not a whole lot, according to what she told me, but she said that they're getting some money, you know, the stimulus check, they're getting that, they're giving it to them. So
one of my audience said he did $40 million yesterday.
who is that?
Donna May, I have a watch party going. They did $40 million yesterday, she said.
In Jamaica?
No, I don't. I think it's here in the States.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this goes to Mrs. Grimman. No, I've been wanting to come to you a long time ago. Sorry to be, you know, bypassing you, but now I'm coming over to you. Now, with this same hazard pay or stimulus for essential workers, what is your view on it? And what, you know, have you guys gotten anything? Like I said, were they even recognizing you people, and you know what I mean, as teachers, as essential workers? What's the plan for you guys?
There's no plan. Teachers have been talking, and they're talking with the union as we speak now about initiating a hazard pay for the teachers who are willing to go into the classroom. I don't think that will end up coming to fruition because we have a contract and we're going to be given options whether we want to teach virtually or not. So I think that it's the fact that we have a contract and it's our pay is exactly the same. So I don't think we'll be getting any hazard pay. Teachers can get stipends for working after school, which will probably all be curtailed anyway. But no, I don't think that's going to come because the funding that we're getting now, when we think we're going to be getting computers now for every child, kindergarten on up, we're talking about all this PPE. we're talking about giving the kids the glasses and the masks and all that. I'm assuming we're going to have extra maintenance people because of the frequent cleaning and those materials that have to be provided to keep these rooms clean. And so there's going to be a lot in there. I think that hazard pay will be out of the question for us as teachers. Essential workers, I'm hoping that they do. Now, they're anticipating a stimulus package for people who make less than $40,000. It appears to be the cutoff. And DeSantis actually, I think it was yesterday or earlier this week, who approved delay for paying rent and mortgages. So there's the CARE Act that's gone into effect for that. And so our governor has—
Is that for essential workers only?
I think that's for anybody who can't afford it, not specifically essential workers. I think that applies to anybody who's finding themselves in a predicament, because you can be talking about restaurant employees. The restaurants are closed, they're not making any money, small businesses and so forth. So this is a very big picture.
Thanks for enlightening that, but it's heart-rending. It's hard. I mean, knowing that teachers, I still would say, this is my opinion. I mean, I know I can't ask certain questions, but the fact that whether teachers are working from home, yes or no, mentally puts a stress on them, and they have to be probably, coming up with different strategies. So I think that they should still be a part of, I mean, everybody, whether essential workers or not, I would say is still affected by this pandemic in one way or another, whether it be financially, mentally, whatever way. So, I mean, I think that's why especially some essential workers are disgruntled. Now, what do you have to say about the fact that some people are home collecting unemployment with that extra $600 from your perspective? And again, like you said, there's nothing in place for you. And when I say you, in general, for you essential workers.
I've discovered over the years that if the system is in place that allows somebody to claim extra funds, then that's the system and it's there for them. And that's individually. And so people have to make those choices. I know that my daughters and I, when we got the $1,200 stimulus, we donated it to a charity because we didn't feel, we were still making our salaries and felt that this didn't apply to us. So we gave it to a charity that we've been affiliated with for many years. And that's what we did. But again, some of the teachers were happy to get it because they had to buy a new computer in order to do the work at home now. So that money came in handy when they said, I have an old computer, or I've been only using the one at school, so I don't have one at home. So that money was used for them. And don't forget, a lot of essential workers have families. They have to feed them. And so all of this is a ripple effect. From one place goes to the other. We forget who all is being affected. It even hit me the other day. Somebody came in and said, it's one thing for me, I can go to the food bank and I can get some food, but I've run out of dog food. And I have a source that actually supplies dog food for people who need that. So to think, okay, you figured out a way to get food to feed your family, but now you're worried about the dog in your house. So you see, even to those poor four-legged critters are being affected by this. Right. So yeah, there's no solution to this. And I think part of this problem is that mayors versus the governor versus the executive office, we don't have a plan in action. And so that's, I think, one of our biggest issues, the conflict between all the politicians and who's deciding and who makes the final decisions, and then the mixed messages that we're getting. I know that I've been in touch with some renowned pediatricians and gotten their viewpoint about sending kids to school, and then how it even relates to me being in front of those children. So it's a whole Pandora's box, I think, is what we have to say. And again, if we had an end date, we would all be fine. It's not having that end date that's causing all these issues.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would like, if you don't mind, you could give us the information for where people could get dog food. And this is in Florida, that is. Is that only assigned to Florida, just across
The
Florida?
dog food.
Yeah.
I think some people can go to their local humane society. I don't have that. I have that in my office, but it was a local group that would provide dog food. If you go to the Google it for Florida dog food donations, the information will be there. So
Okay.
people can get it, and Humane Society's been helping out. And then there's always, people forget, there are plenty of neighbors, lots of networking going on between communities, especially here in Naples. We live in so many of these communities where we're not alone. We're not in single family residences. So our neighbors pitch in. I know that a lot of the people here are older and they are fearful of going to the stores. Neighbors have said, I'm going to the store, what can I get you? And everybody's pitching in. And that's the wonderful thing about human beings. We're there to help each other.
And that's so cool. That is so cool, because in this time we need to pull together, come as one, and try to help each other out. And that's why, again, I will not stop saying this is why we have this platform here. We're trying to help in one way or the other. You know, it may not seem like that, but I'm sure somebody is able to get something from what we have to offer on a weekly basis. So, Melissa, thank you so much, Mrs. Grimman, for that information and your input there. Melissa, how do you feel as it relates to people who are at home getting unemployment, getting even more money than what they were probably working, and versus you guys who are considered essential in your field, who your hour you said has been cut? How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I don't care because my son benefited from it and he saved every red cent. So I don't care. He saved everything. Every week he got it, he saved. So he just started working the 7th, so he got the last one, was it yesterday? Yeah, so he saved everything. So if I'm dead broke, I can say, Kimani, lend me some money. Yeah.
So you don't really care about how what's going on with
because even with this stimulus, I haven't received any and I'm still living. I did my taxes from March. I haven't received it and I'm still living. So I did have plan. At first, when I did my taxes, I didn't have any plan. But then my old car started to give problem and I said, I'm going to buy a car with the tax money if I get that money before my birthday. Which in that money did not turn up until this day. So now my old car is up and running again. So I don't need a car again. So that money going to go straight to the bank.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess you're all geared up, so you don't really matter. But you know, like I
I
said,
don't care.
some people they're lamenting on the fact that they need their portion.
I know that's why most people don't want to go back to work. Because again, that money gonna stop ending of July.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But honestly, my son was receiving more, like a double. He was receiving. Like for the week, yeah, the unemployment money, he received double pay. Yeah.
Thank you for your input. Are you trying to say something, Mrs. Grimman? You're on mute. You gotta unmute. You have to.
I think I just saw Dan, so my heart was going.
Oh, that's his brother.
I just saw a head. I said, oh.
You see how she's excited about Danielle? Oh my God, this is one essential worker who will go all out. For Melissa, she's saying that She doesn't care, you know, what's going on, you know, as it relates to the stimulus monies that are being paid out. Wow. And I'm sure June would love some of that. Shelly, and she would love some of that in Jamaica, like she said. So we have mixed moods and attitudes, so to speak, as to know how, you know, everyone feels about what's going on. Being the fact that they're considered essential work and they have to be out there during the crisis, having to being faced with what they don't even know what's going on, faced with the unknown, so to speak.
Okay,
So,
can I say something?
yes.
Okay. I think what's going on really is that a lot of people are just abusing the system. I honestly think that what's going on. I mean, yes, it's a pandemic. Yes, everybody was hit, but some people are definitely abusing the system, right? Like the teacher, what's the name? Like she was saying when
Mrs. Grayman,
Miss Grayman, she's like Miss Grayman said when she got her stimulus check, you know, she and her daughters, they donated it, right? I mean, they could have been like, nah, this is mine, I'm gonna hold on to it. But what? They were thinking about others that are less fortunate than them, right? So I had a conversation with this young man, he called me up and he was like, I need an apartment. And I said, are you still working? Because I know he had a job. I said, are you still on your job? He said, I'm collecting unemployment. I said, what happened to your job? He was like, Miss Mason, that job I was bringing home, like I was making like $600 a week. And after taxes, I was coming home with 400. And I'm getting $1,000 a week. You think I'm gonna go back to that job? So to me, people are abusing the system. If you have a job that you can go back to, you know, why not go to the job? There are other people who they don't have a job to go to. Some businesses are closed. You know, my dry cleaner that I've been going to, they closed their business. You know, I felt so sad, you know, when she called me after they reopened. She called me and said to come and get, you know, the clothes that was there. And she said they have to close the business because they can't afford to pay the rent for the, you know, they had to close their business. So a lot of people, okay, what about the workers who were working there? Now they're out of a job. So they now need help. They don't have a job to go to. So people who can go to their job, go back to their jobs. If the job was closed for a while and they reopen, go back to your jobs. Let someone who don't have a job to go to get that money, you know, and stop abusing the system. That's all I see going on. And that's the reason why it's hurting people who are working as essential workers and not getting it, and people who are sitting down at home refusing to go to work, and they're collecting so much more than other people who are working. I'm an essential worker, and I was here, you know, this thing hit me hard, you know, working. I had to go to work. During this whole thing, I had to go. I couldn't stay home. There were days I wanted to stay home, but I had to go, right? And for me, I was affected by it, by this whole pandemic, mentally, totally affected. Like I shared with you earlier, Cleo, death, I can't deal with death. It does something to me. And when I see so many people falling, dying on my job, the ladies at the shelter that I'm, you know, and go to work and you hear this one die, and then you hear it just, my doctor had to give me a month home. I just couldn't cope with it. I couldn't. I wasn't going on Facebook, because every time I go on Facebook, I see this rest in peace, this one died. It was, and then you find what was really eating me away is people are being told, stay home. Stay in your house. Stop the spread. You out there want to go out, oh, I'm bored at home. So one time I remember putting a post on Facebook, you can't get these people to get out their houses to go to look for jobs, to go get a job. But now you are being told to stay in your house, you bored and you want to go on the street. For what? Stay home. I couldn't cope. I took that month home, and even when it was time to go back to work, I was like, should I go? Should I quit? Should I go? Should I quit? The love for my job and the empathy I have for the people that are homeless that I'm working with, the love, that empathy for them and wanting to help them is what took me back, is what made me go back out, And even though it's still a struggle, because I remember losing one lady, a Jamaican young lady, and that just weighs so heavy on me every time I don't see her. It still weighs heavy on me when I don't see her, because I saw her that Monday at work. We spoke. I said, listen, I'm going to get you out. I'm working on something for you. And that Tuesday, my doctor told me, stay home. And then the Friday, I got the email. She was taken to the hospital. I was like, what? Then the Monday, I got the email. She died. It just crushed me to the very core, So I was really affected by this pandemic. And as an essential worker, you have to go out there and you have to pray every day to God that you don't get. I had so many co-workers who caught the COVID on the jobs right there. A lot of them, some of them died, some of them survived, but we had to go, and yes, it's hard as an essential worker when you have to be out there on the front line. As you said earlier, essential workers are not just the doctors and the nurses and, the firefighters and the EMTs. They're those of us as housing specialists, as case managers. We come in close contact with people, with people. We have to sit with them. We have to counsel them. We have to find housing for them. So it's hard. It's really hard, and it's still a struggle for me personally. It's still a struggle for me. So there are days when I wake up in the morning and I have to push myself to get out of bed. Like this morning, I had to be at work for 9 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, I'm still in the bed. Should I go? Should I call out? It's still a struggle. It's still a struggle. So I understand where people are coming from. And some people are just abusing the system. Some of them don't know what we as essential workers have to face. They don't know. They're not there. They are not there. But again, it's the system. It's the system that they have in place. But as I keep telling everybody, be careful. That money that is being given out, listen, it's going to come back and haunt a lot of people. They don't know it yet, but it will. When you file your taxes, you will see where that money that you're supposed to get go. It's going to come back to haunt you.
Said that they have a lot of advisors who said that will not affect the taxes. So we'll see.
Oh, please, you believe that? I don't. This guy told me today, this guy that I placed from a shelter in Toronto, he called me today. He was like, they just sent me a thing saying that I have to pay $7,000. I have to pay them back $7,000. I said, why? He said, I don't know. I just got it that the IRS and HR, they said I have to pay this $7,000. I said, what did I tell you? It's gonna come back. It's going to come back one way or another. That money is going to have to be replaced. So we all have to be careful. We all have to be careful. All I'm advising people to do is do not lie on these applications, because when they find out that you lied, you're gonna have to pay it back. You're gonna have to pay. I know a guy who was I know a guy who lost his real estate license, his driver's license, everything, because he lied with some money that was coming into him. There's always, it comes back. So we got to be careful. We have to be careful.
Well, that's some great advice there. So we're wrapping up now. We've been here, all evening. We know it's a celebration evening. It's our first month anniversary, and we're celebrating, recognizing, highlighting, and celebrating our essential workers. But before we go, Mrs. G, as a counselor, we're going to ask you to leave us all with something for the essential workers here and our audience at large, please.
I need something to help me cope. Really, it's hard. It's hard. I need something, please.
Avril, the first thing that you did was acknowledged your feelings. And that's the reason you're able to cope. My only recommendation was when you wake up in the morning or when you go to bed at night, ground yourself. Find something that's positive in your life and focus on it and reset yourself. Remind yourself of the wonderful person you are and the passion and the good that you've done. Do not focus on the negative. Think about the load, the weight that you've provided, the good weight, and ground yourself. So whether you meditate, whether you take a prayer, whether you have a sip of your favorite tea, maybe a glass of wine, get yourself refocused and balanced and start the next day grounded. That's what I call it. And start it again and focus on the good that you've done. There's so much more. We tend to focus on the negative, but there's always much more positive. And we have to look at the cup like Melissa does, half full. And then keep going because you're the one that's helping all those people. So when you're off, those people have lost out on the wonderful things that you're doing for them. And that's my word of the day. Stay grounded and stay positive and share that wonderful, positive passion that you have.
Thank you so much. Angela, do you have anything to say before we close?
I appreciate you, Miss Raymond, right?
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate you for coming on our panel tonight and giving us some great and amazing, wonderful, blessed advice. I appreciate you for what you are doing and for what you continue to do for helping all your students and for helping those mothers and everyone.
The wonderful mothers that I get to meet now.
and everyone around you. And for Miss Shelly-Ann, I appreciate you so much because that's a big job. Yeah. Being a cop is a big job. And in Jamaica, it's not easy. I know that for a fact because I have family members still there, speak to them on a weekly basis, and it's very rough out there. But you continue to do what you're doing and God will continue to bless you.
Thank you very much.
And for you, Miss Melissa, I leave this with you. Continue doing what you are doing because God have a lot in store for you. Keep on going, keep on moving, and your success is coming. It's going to be a big reward at the end of the tunnel. And God bless all of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that closing note there, Angela. Sister Avril, you know the drill. I mean, we're going to be saying our prayer, and then after that, we're going to be raising our glasses one more time to end the show to appreciate our essential workers and just to celebrate our anniversary. Okay?
Okay. Thanks, ladies. Thanks, Miss Grayman. Thanks for that advice. I needed that. Melissa, thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. Wonderful, wonderful testimony. And keep it up. As I said earlier, you're gonna reach places, girl. Yeah. Keep it up. Keep that positive energy going. And that, keep that mentality. Keep it going. And you mentioned your son. You see, it has rubbed off on him.
Yes, yes,
Saved every
yes,
penny of that money, and he's
yes,
back out to work, right? So there
yes.
you go, it's rubbed off. And
Okay.
Shellyan, thank you so much. Continue to do the wonderful job you're doing as a police officer. I know it's not an easy job, but I applaud you for being on there for that long, right?
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay.
So
Before we start, sorry, real quick. I'm not gonna be, well, the two ladies on the panel, they're part of Ladies Uplifting and Inspiring. And with that being said, they're saying what they're saying on behalf of all of us. So I don't have to re-say, you know, but I just want to extend gratitude. It's, you know, that's a must, you know, we appreciate you. You never had to, okay?
Right.
And we, you know, we really appreciate that. Mrs. Grimman, real quick, being a counselor on that side, is there any information you want to share with our audience where they can find you? Because I know you counsel not only just the children in school when you teach, but on the other side of your job as a counselor, like, you know, where they can find you to get counseling. Do you want to share that information?
Currently, I'm working as a subcontractor for another agency. So it's through them because I'm still working on my Florida certification. So I'm still logging in the hours. So I can't share at this point yet who, you know, who I work under.
Perfect. That's okay. All right. Thank you so much again. So, Ms. Avril, I'll have you take over.
Okay, so ladies, we thank you again, and we give God thanks and praise for taking us out from Monday. We have come to the end of another work week. He took us out every morning. He kept us throughout the day, and we are here. We are all well. We are in good health. For me personally, this week has been a real trying one. My brother, he had 2 surgeries, and he had another surgery today, and thank God he made it through. He's out of surgery, he's fine. So we thank God. We thank God that we could come together and share and uplift each other. So we just bow our heads in a closing prayer. Father, we give you praise and we give you thanks for your goodness, for your mercy, for your love, for your faithfulness to us, oh God. The things that you have blessed us with, Lord, you did not have to do it. And there's nothing that we have done good why you do it. It's because of your love. It's because of your love for us and your faithfulness why we are blessed in so many ways. And we thank you for the blessings. We thank you, God, for jobs to go to. We thank you, Lord, for roofs over our head. We thank you that we can eat, that we can wear. We thank you for family and friends who are dear and near to us. Lord, we thank you. 1,000 tongues are not enough to thank you, Lord. It could have been so much worse for each and every one of us. But because of your grace, we are here and we thank you. We ask, oh God, that you watch over each and every one of us, that you will bless our homes respectfully. God, that you help us to continue to motivate and uplift each other and others. Lord, let your glory be seen in us wherever we go. Help us to be that beacon of light to someone in someone's dark world. Lord, I thank you and I praise you tonight. And I ask you, Lord God, for your blessings on this group. Bless this forum. Bless this forum, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
I feel like I really enjoyed today, and thank you for letting me be part of this wonderful group. I'm really feeling very warm and welcome, and I wish you all the very, very best. And Miss Cleo, you know what I think about you, lovely lady.
I don't know. Tell the world.
I'm going to be coming to your house for some makeup jobs here.
Right? You tell her, Miss Raymond.
No problem. Anytime, Mrs. Goodman. Anytime I'll make myself available. Even if I'm working, I'll say, no, day off. I got an appointment.
And congratulations on that 96.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Freeman.
Yeah, it's not just her son I think about. I always follow her on her test scores too.
I know. And I remember like many times you tell me, Cleopatra, leave him to me. You go and study. Leave him to me. She's such an awesome lady right there with you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes.
It's a wonderful weekend.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, all.
Let's celebrate.
We're gonna have a good time tonight.
Yes.
Celebrate. It's all right, baby.
Cheers.
Celebration.
Cheers, guys.
It's all right.
It's
Your
our
friend-
first month anniversary. Oh my God.
A
Yeah,
friend of
it's for
mine,
1
a friend
month.
of
I
mine
can't
makes
believe
these
it's 1 month already.
glasses.
I'm telling you, 1 month and going. Can you believe that?
A friend of mine makes these glasses where she personalizes them and put your names on them.
Oh, I see that. That's cute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Come on.
I guess we gotta contact you, right? We need
Yeah.
to do it.
Okay, ladies.
So again, on behalf or among ourselves, we're
Yes.
getting the feedback. I don't know if you guys see on the page, we're getting real great feedback. So we just gotta take it a day at a time.
Yeah, I had a moment today. I went on it today. I see. Yeah. We just gotta take it one day at a time, you know.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually the word will get spread out, you know, faster. And then, you know, everything will just fall into place.
That's
Yep,
it.
everything.
Thanks.
Everything will
Okay,
fall
I
into
guess
place.
Shelly Ann is gone.
Yeah. Say
So,
something.
ladies, have a wonderful night. Be blessed. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. Miss Avril, you be cracking me up. I love you, ladies. I love you, ladies.
I
I
love
love
you.
it too.
I always
Yep.
about when we're to come on here. Trust me. I know that we have to
Exactly.
come on here. So
I love you too,
So,
my dear.
yeah, so-
It's gonna be a good thing. It's gonna be a
Yep,
real good thing.
exactly. Yep. So you all enjoy your weekend, and Cleo,
I'm gonna be studying. You know that.
I know that. And please, you better get some rest, okay, girl? Miss Avril, you tell her to get some rest.
Yes, you gotta everything in proportion. You gotta get some rest. If you're gonna be up in the night studying, you gotta find some time during the day to get some rest. You don't want to burn yourself out.
Yep.
You know.
You have to rest your body, girl.
Yes.
I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna keep you prayed up. So
yes.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. I
you need to
appreciate
call me after this. I have something to ask you too. So,
it.
ladies, good night.
Good
Thank
night,
you,
all.
audience.
Okay,
Good
bye-bye.
night.
Take care.
Enjoy the
Bye-bye.
weekend. We love
Okay.
you. Bye.